Hello, everybody. Welcome back to ESPN's Football Forecast with myself, James Alcott, and the one and only man lying on a snooker table. It's Hugh Woozencroft. And we're going to be talking about Group B, aka the Group of Death, and the race for second. So many headlines here, Hugh, and two really, really important games. First of all, let's talk about Liverpool versus Milan. Great history with this fixture. But one where Liverpool have got a great record that they could go and break with this one. And Milan, who have had that sort of resurgence over the last few years, looking to take that step and get themselves into the knockouts. How do you see this one panning out?
Yeah, this is an interesting one to call because I think on the face of it, you've got to say Liverpool are going to be, vastly favourites. They've won all 5 games so far, but they've qualified comfortably as group leaders for the knockout stages. One of the big questions at Liverpool is going to be how they cope with the loss of Mane and Salah potentially in January with the Africa Cup of Nations. I think this game gives Jurgen Klopp a really good chance to look at his options against Champions League opposition. Divock Origi, he scored the winner against Wolves at the weekend. Brilliant for the Liverpool fans. He's a bit of a super sub for them, but they're going to give him an opportunity surely to start. What about Alex Oxlade-Chamberlain? What about Takumi Minamino? James Milner, we know, always comes in when there's rotation at Liverpool. There are a few players that we could see playing this game that we don't usually see. And that means it maybe opens the door slightly for Milan because they won't be that well oiled. They don't play a lot of games together, that Liverpool squad, and they will be squad players used in this game. I truly believe that. The only thing is, I still think Mohamed Salah will start. He's one of those players. They always seem to play him when you think that there's going to be a raft of changes and that Liverpool don't need to win. He always wants to play. And I think he's so important. He's the one. How do you stop him? Because I think you can stop some of those squad players, but you can't stop Salah right now. He's probably the best player in the world. And that means if he starts, he gives you the best possible chance of winning that game. Milan are too inconsistent for me. I think that's a massive thing as well. If you're going to go out and beat Liverpool and play them off the park, I know they started in particularly really well against Liverpool during their first meeting in the Champions League, but I don't know. I don't know. I don't see how they do it. I think this Liverpool team is just too good a side, even when they make the changes.
I give Milan a chance in this one because I think the Salah point's a really, really good point. If you play him in this game, that's just pure. It's stupid, to be honest. It's pure ego if you play him. Yes, there's a record, but we won't be talking about that in a week's time, let alone 3 weeks' time. And if you get someone like Salah injured and lose him for a few games, that is so disastrous. He's like, I thought he was on fire for the last 3 years. He's just gone to a new level of flames. It's outrageous. So to play him in this game feels so stupid to me. For the other 3 teams in this group, 4 points, 4 points, 5 points. It's so up for grabs. And one of these big teams is not even going to get into the Europa League. That Porto versus Atletico Madrid game is fascinating as well for me because Porto don't concede many, but they've only scored 3 goals so far in this competition. For a game where, both teams really need to get themselves a victory, you've got Atletico Madrid against Porto. Is there going to be a lot of confusion with these 2 teams? Because it's 2 teams who don't score that many goals going up against each other, needing a win. How does that game pan out?
All out war. I mean, it's all about who wants it most. It is all out war. I think you're going to need Conceição and Simeone on the touchline to be at their best in terms of geeing up their support, getting their players, across that line and ready to do battle, because I think it will be a very attritional game. Atletico Madrid, nowhere near the best of what we've seen of them under Diego Simeone in the past. Porto, a solid team. Again, they're not pulling up any trees in particular, but they will be a difficult prospect. And I don't know. I mean, I honestly, I can't call it. I honestly, I think Atletico Madrid have the better individual players. They haven't really shown that as a team so far this season. Really disappointing. You almost feel like it might be the last season for Diego Simeone, the way they've played, particularly if the worst comes to worst and they don't even get into the Europa League. I mean, imagine that. Not just getting knocked out in the group stage of the Champions League, but finishing bottom of the group. I think that leaves him in really difficult territory, particularly if the La Liga campaign doesn't pick itself up from here on out. It looks like Real Madrid, your city rivals, a team that you've won the title last year ahead of, look like they streak ahead. And a Barcelona side who have all the problems in the world, possibly finish ahead of you. I mean, imagine if that happens towards the end of this season. You never know. I just think there's too much talent in that squad to be as bad as they are right now. Well, like I say, so inconsistent. Losing at home to Mallorca. I mean, you know, it doesn't matter how the game went. The end result is what matters. Atletico Madrid shouldn't be putting in performances like that against teams like that, with all due respect. And if they play like that in midweek, they're not going to beat Porto. So they really need to buck their ideas up. And as I say, if I were at Diego Simeone, I'd just spoil the game. You know, what you really want to do, seriously, is not allow the other side to play. It's the Champions League. Every side is a good side that can play good football when they get the ball and they're given possession. Don't give them any opportunity. Just rip the game away from them and hope that your talented forward players can win you the match. I think that's the only way for me.
Yeah, I think there could be some nastiness in this, and I think it's going to come down to 1 or 2 goals for this game. I think Porto. I think Milan might get their hearts broken in the game against Liverpool. Maybe some of those stars coming off the bench, and then I think when it comes to Madrid versus Porto, what I find fascinating is for the last 5 home games for Porto at home, they've had clean sheets. But Luis Suarez, who's got a terrible record for Atletico Madrid, 11 appearances, 1 goal so far. He scored 25 in 55 appearances for Barcelona. He always comes clutch. He generally does. So I think, for me, Atletico Madrid, although they lost the last 3 in the Champions League, I think they sneak this one. Maybe a 1-0 win. Maybe it's Suarez with the goal. Maybe it's a bit of gamesmanship and a penalty. And I think that might just sneak them through. And I think the team that might miss out on all of it in the end, I think it's going to be, it's Milan or Porto. Maybe Milan miss out with a defeat and it's them that makes way. What do you think, mate?
Yeah, I think it could be very similar. I think Liverpool will just have too much for Milan. And I think Atletico could beat Porto in this game as well. Again, I think it will come down to 1 goal. It will be very, very tight. Could be a draw. That would throw things up in the air. But I think the one thing to call is a Liverpool win here. Don't think Milan can compete with them if they're at their best. And who knows in the other game? Yeah, it will come down to a goal, I think, in the end. It'll be really intriguing to see who stays in this and who goes out.
Hi, I'm Hugh Wisencroft from ESPN's Football Forecast. Make sure you're subscribed. You can follow all of our predictions throughout the season and get some other great analysis from our big names as well.